So Ben, we're going to talk about working leads and some of the reasons why your leads don't end up getting closed. So take us through some of these different reasons. I'll feed them to you, and you tell me why are these, like, you know, what's behind these things, right? So one of the things is we don't communicate fast enough. And why does that harm us in potentially converting these people into closed deals?
Well, I like to think of it in seconds and minutes. Bobby, if we take the time to respond to a lead right away, the chances that we're going to get a hold of them or be able to convert those leads are so significantly higher. In fact, if you call somebody in under 5 minutes right away, instead of in 5 minutes, you're 30 times more likely to get a hold of them. If you just wait 30 minutes to get back to that lead, and instead of calling them right away, you're 100 times less likely to get a hold of them and convert that lead. So it's important that when these leads are coming in, you respond to them as fast as possible. And I know that a lot of agents out there, maybe they're the only person on their team, so they got to make some decisions. And it's not realistic that every lead's going to get called that quickly. But what we can do, and I did this for a long time when I was the only agent on the sales team, was I just say, hey, Mr. Whatever, somebody I'm driving around looking at homes, is it okay if I quickly respond to this person and let them know that I'll get a hold of them later when I'm done work with you? Then I would just take my phone and I just record a quick video. Hey, this is Ben. I just saw that you registered on my website. I'm so excited to talk to you. I want you to know that I'm a real person and I'm with clients right now. We're looking at a great house, and when I'm done with that and I get back to the office, I'll give you a call personally. And then I'll take that video and just text it to them right away. It puts a face to the name.
So you don't have, like a lot of people would have, the excuse would be I'm with my clients and so I can't do it, but you're essentially setting your clients up to help you be successful, right? Hey, I might interrupt us because I'd want to do the same thing for you, just to let them know I'll get back to them pretty soon.
Yeah, and 99.999% of the time, your people are going to appreciate that, and they're going to say, well, that's the kind of person I want to work with. Somebody that's respectful of our time together, and somebody that lets everybody else know that it's just going to be a little bit before you get back to them. And the cool thing is, if those people were your sellers, they'll see right there as well that you're going to get back to all the leads that come in about their property.
One of the things, I've heard you tell the story of like treating your leads like a $10,000 paycheck. And I've heard you tell it where, you know, you're sitting at lunch and a lead comes in and your decision is finish my sandwich, right? My sandwich, we call it. Or pick the phone up and go after that $10,000 check. Like, how do you just shift your mindset to make that your priority? It's just, I'm always going to drop the sandwich because it's not a $10,000 sandwich.
Well, I think this goes right along with this video. Why do some real estate agents not convert leads? It's because they think of them as leads. They're just another lead. It's just an internet registration. It's just a sign call. What I've always thought about is this is a $10,000 check. And if you knew that that was a $10,000 check, wouldn't you do whatever you could to cash it? And that's going to be following up quickly, saying the right things, etc. Right? Put down the sandwich and grab that lead, because I've never had a $10,000 sandwich.
But we're still looking for one, right?
We're still looking for the great sandwich, yeah.
So,
yeah.
The second reason that we might not get our leads closed is we stop communicating with them. And like, why is that an issue? Right? I try to call them the first day, maybe I do it the second day, maybe I do it the third day, but at some point I stop. Why should I not stop?
Well, one of the things that we learned when we created this follow-up process called the 10 Days of Pain was that the National Association of Realtors said that on average somebody looks for 12 to 14 days on their own before they actually decide which agent they're going to work with. And when somebody registers on your website or comes to your open house or calls on your sign, you don't know if you got those people on day 1 or day 14. And it's important that we do as much as we can to get that person to be our client. Well, the other thing that we know is that 80% of real estate professionals are going to give up after the first or second try, right? And another big group of them are going to give up after the third, fourth try. And almost nobody ever tries to communicate with a lead more than 5 times. But statistically speaking, leads get converted on the 5th to the 12th attempt for the majority of all of them. And agents don't try hard enough to work those leads and communicate with them in the ways that those leads want to be communicated with.
So you've there are a couple of tips that we've shared over the years. One is when I'm calling, I don't just call once, right? You will actually call, hang up, call back, hang up, and neither one of those times leaving a message, and then call a third time right in a row. Why do you do that?
It was something that a coach taught me in the very beginning of my career. It's that nobody can avoid a call coming in from the same number 3 times. So we would get a sign call or a lead call, and we'd call it right back, and we'd say they didn't answer, so we'd hang up. 60 seconds later, it's called back. 60 seconds later, we call again. I'm telling you, 75, 80, 90% of the time, they're going to answer on that third call. If they don't, the next thing I do is hang up that phone, send them a text, and let them know I've been trying to reach them, and we didn't want them to think that I dropped the ball and I didn't follow up with as much as I should.
So a second tip on that, if you're when you text, if they don't respond right away, a couple of minutes later, maybe 4 or 5 minutes later, if you hit them again with another text message, even just saying like, okay, just let me know, right? Just an extra append on that first text, they're going to respond.
Absolutely. They're going to respond with something. The goal is allowing these leads to know that you're a real person and you're just not an automated response like all the other portals and online brokerages out there. You're a real person that really wants to help them.
Let's go to, so we send spam. So our leads don't end up getting closed because we send spam. And this gets right to that point of you just made, which is we're letting them know we're a real person. We're not talking about spam, just like stuff unrelated to the real estate transaction, right? Because generally agents are sending stuff that, it's kind of relevant, right? It's the canned email, it's these things, but it's still spam. Like, talk about that for a minute. Why is it spam? What would you do otherwise?
Yeah, real estate agents have a history of just sending out, and I did this in the past as well, of just sending out junk. Happy Thanksgiving, holiday things, turn your clocks back, just all that kind of stuff. And that works really good when you have a relationship between somebody and they know me and you know them. But when you send that to just leads, that just goes into their spam box, or they hit the button that says send to spam box. They don't care about that. Before the customer builds a relationship with you and moves from being a lead to being a customer, one of the things that we need to understand is the only thing they care about is properties. So spend the time to set up a listing alert on every single lead that you have, because that's the one email that they're going to want to open. If it's a seller lead, take the time to set up a market report so that goes out to them every week, 2 weeks, month, something like that, because that's all they care about. And then once you build that relationship, then you can start sending more specific ones. The additional emails that you might send to somebody like that is looking into the buy signs of that lead and seeing what property they actually favorited or what property they viewed, and send an email specifically about that. Hey Bob, I saw that you looked at 1234 Main Street. I'm going to be in the area this week. Would you like to see the inside?
So we're looking at, the Brivity CRM, it's going to give us additional information about that person, and I'm not just setting them on a drip, forgetting about it. There's lots of stuff in there. I might look at their email address and go look them up on Facebook and see what I can find there. Like, anything I can do to personalize that communication is going to give me a much higher chance of getting them to respond.
Absolutely. When you look them up on social media, one of the first things I do is I see, do I have any mutual connections?
Yeah.
Hey, I was uploading all my contacts to LinkedIn, and your email address was in there because you registered on my website, and then I saw that you are also connected to 3 or 4 people that I know. How do you know John, Sue, and Bob? Because it makes me a real person all of a sudden. And if they're rude to me, now what they're doing is they're being rude to a friend of a friend, which they would never do.
Yeah. So there's a couple of good reasons why you're not converting leads, and I think the time you take to kind of get to the bottom and get better at each of these things, right? Because these are things we can get better at. I can get better at responding faster, right? I can get better at personalizing the communication that I go through, and I can absolutely get better at following up more consistently over a long period of time.
Yeah, and if you have a team, what's going to happen is the team's going to start telling you the leads aren't good, the leads are weak, these things aren't no value, blah, blah, blah. But the truth is they haven't been responding fast enough times in saying and emailing the right things. So they're right. They're creating their own future. They're turning that $10,000 paycheck into a piece of toilet paper that they can throw away. Whereas if you followed this plan and did that, you'd see that each one of those leads has a high probability of being your next paycheck.
We've talked about this with one of your expansion partners, and they had agents on their team who were coming back with that, right? They were coming back with, man, these leads, I don't know about this, and your response to her was what? To inspect what you expect, right? So she went in there and actually worked the leads, saw how her people were working the leads, and ended up having a different opinion of those things.
Yeah, she said, hey, these leads aren't turning out, they aren't too very good, and we're spending too much money for them. And I said, do me a favor, today, for the next 24 hours, why don't you as my partner, go in there and work these leads and call these leads and text these leads yourself and see what happens. Well, it wasn't more than 3 or 4 hours that she responded back and said, these leads are gold. I got 2 appointments already, and I've only made my way through 25 of them. And that's what you'll see too. When you follow a process and focus on converting these leads and treating them like a paycheck, they're going to turn into a paycheck.